the Madman! Welcome to Trump Custom Cards I Know a Guy Special Edition. Over a 2-day period of time, the custom Hearthstone Reddit section was flooded by I Know a Guy related cards. Over 100 cards were submitted of this theme, but we're only going to see the top 11 of them. So let's start off with the card that kicked off the whole storm. I Knew a Guy. Warrior 1 mana spell, discover a taunt minion from the past. Design 5 stars, balance 3 stars. So the problem with I Know a Guy is that the card was never very strong to begin with, and all of these cards that are based off of I Know a Guy most of them are a little bit on the weak side because of it. Basically, discovering a taunt minion, because there are so many potentially bad ones, isn't worth 1 mana. Now from the past, the standouts are the Lich King and Zilliax, but even Zilliax at 6 mana isn't that good, so really you're only aiming at the Lich King. In short, I Knew a Guy can easily cast 0 mana. So that's my suggestion. 0 mana, I Knew a Guy. And while 0 mana spells are inherently dangerous because they can combo with things, for Warrior, I don't think they have enough 0 mana spells that they could have a 0 mana and discover a taunt minion from the past. That's fine. Of course, just one card doesn't start the avalanche. You have to have another one. So picture this on Custom Hearthstone. People really liked I Knew a Guy. Picture seeing that at the top of the list, and right under it being, I currently know multiple guys. 4 mana warrior spell, discover 3 taunt minions. Design 4 stars, balance 5 stars. I have a problem with the sheer amount of value that I currently know multiple guys creates. This isn't just Omega Assembly where you're getting 3 cards for maybe even 1 mana, discovering mechs, because each taunt minion you discover is individual, and when you play this in the late game, you're just going to choose the biggest mana taunt each time. So for 4 mana, you're getting 3 really big threats. And that is arguably just too much value. The reason why I didn't lower the design even further is because there are currently cards that provide even more value than that. Basically, I have a problem with a card that can be played in a 2-of, which can generate 3 gigantic threats all by itself. But maybe it's fine because currently Warrior doesn't have anything else for big value generation. This could be better at 2 mana discover 2, would be my other idea. You wouldn't know the guy. 0 mana warrior spell. Discover a taunt minion that isn't in either player's decks. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. This guy knew where it was at. So we've established that discovering a taunt minion isn't really worth 1 mana, it might be worth 0. This further puts the restriction that it can't be a minion that's so good that it's actually played in someone's deck. So if there were a neutral taunt minion like the Lich King that were really good, this card could not discover that card unless it was already drawn from both players or 1 player or something like that. And if you're playing a taunt warrior deck, you can't just overload yourself with that many taunts by playing this card. You have no chance of getting the really good ones that are already in your deck. I'll Make a Guy. 1 mana warrior spell, discover a mech, give it taunt. That is just so fitting of a gnome to just go out and, make his own guy. Design 5 stars, balance 3 stars. Similar to the idea of discover a taunt, discovering a mech and giving it taunt is not worth 1 mana. You're not willing to pay the 1 mana tax to just discover a mech, of which many are quite bad. I think this would be fine at 0 mana. So that's my suggestion for the fix, 0 mana. I actually think that this card is great. Alright, we're going deep here. I Know a Guy who knows a guy. 3 mana warrior spell. For every taunt minion in your hand, summon a 2/2 guy with taunt. That could definitely push the taunt warrior archetype. In fact, I think this card pushes it too far. Design 4 stars, balance 3 stars. If you just have 3 taunts in your hand, you play this on turn 3, and you get 6/6 worth of stats. That just is crushing. And I think that's a common situation that would happen. You can't allow high roll cards to high roll this much on turn 3. I'm even hesitant to make this possible on turn 4, but maybe it's okay for 4 mana. So that's my suggestion, nerf this to 4 mana. Maybe it could see play. You'd have to test it out a bit. I Will Know a Guy. Really creative 1 mana warrior spell. Discover a taunt minion from the future. Design 1 star, balance 3 stars. Well, as you may know, Hearthstone designs its expansions. They're usually a few expansions ahead of the current expansion. So you could theoretically code in the taunt minions that will come in the next expansion, in 2 expansions from now, and put them into a specific discover pool that I will know a guy could find. There's obviously problems with that in the sense of, well, you just spoil the set mechanic. For example, if you used I will know a guy before Shield of Galakrond came out, you would find out what invoked it, and it would be useless also. So that's another reason why it's not great. There's no synergy with the cards that you would discover. Also, these cards get continuously changed, possibly even removed. It's just infeasible, and obviously this card wasn't made in the idea of being an actual card that would be put in the game, but more of a funny haha, and I think we can all share a haha with this one. Some guy that I used to know. It's a warrior 1 mana spell. I should sing that better. One more. Me. Next up, it's some guy that I used. Next up, we got a warrior spell. We got some guy.
2,000 years later.
Next up, we got a warrior spell. It's some guy that I used to know. 1 mana spell. Discover a taunt minion that died this game. Design 2 stars, balance 5 stars. So what do I have with a problem with this card? So what's the problem with this card? Well, as you may or may not have noticed, some Hearthstone players are annoyed when they have to deal with the same taunt that reappears over and over again. Greetings, fellow humans, and our home, our tombs, being the biggest offenders of that. And I think that's enough of a problem that this card should not ever see the light of day. And probably Blizzard will learn from that for Resurrect in some fashion, maybe. Or maybe they'll just let priests continue to be the bad guys, but probably no other class should do it. Next up, we've got a guy. Legendary minion, 2 mana, 3/3, taunt, battle cry. For the rest of the game, whenever you discover a minion, this minion is one of the choices. Design, 4 stars, balance, 4 stars. The problem with both the design and the balance I have with this is the game is not ready for a 2 mana, 3/3 taunt with no drawback. Everyone just plays it. If you happen to get lucky and draw it on turn 2, you win a little bit more of the time. Discovering this minion whenever it's one of the choices is not a drawback. In fact, it's a benefit because you would like to have 2 mana, 3/3 taunts. So what about a little bit more of an interesting application where the card is neither so small that you would just play it in every deck, it's also not so big that you'd want to play it so that you could discover it whenever you discovered. Like, we can't just make it a 10 mana 10/10 taunt because you could just discover a bunch of guys and then play them repeatedly. That would also be bad design. So how about a 5 mana 6/6 taunt? I know that's a little bit overstated as well, but it's not enough overstated that people would just run it. I think we're at the point of the game where people wouldn't just run a vanilla 5 mana 6/6 taunt, but it would be an interesting choice to choose whenever it was offered in a Discover a Minion choice. I know you! Warrior 1 mana spell, give the enemy hero taunt until your next turn. Design 1 star, balance 5 stars. It may be bad design to just give this out to a class. It is just a little bit too unhealthy to be able to ignore all of your opponent's taunts for a turn. And wait, you might be saying, wait, they just did that with Kayn. Well, yes, I think that's a very unique situation that only Demon Hunters should have. But furthermore, past that, it costs 4 mana. If you had 1 mana, you could do much more degenerate things with the other 9 mana, but Kayn's being 4 mana prevents serious shenanigans from happening. And the way that you would cost it more while not being completely terrible would be to put it on a minion such as Kayn. So the balance on this card is actually fine. I don't think any warrior would actually run this right now, but I don't think printing this is good for the game. That's not to say that I don't like Kayn though. I think that's actually a really good design and a good balance point. I'm Noah, guy. We got our Hunter entry into this set. 1 mana Hunter spell. Discover a random beast with Taunt. So this one is clearly a meme. Design 1 star, balance 1 star, but it was just too good to actually leave out of this video. So there are only 3 cards that you can actually discover with Hunter right now, and that's Ironfur Grizzly, Hippogriff, and of course the card that everyone's thinking of, Silverback Patriarch. Anyways, really cool wordplay on the card, but obviously useless. And finally, I think it's fitting to end it with Guys, Stop. Warrior 2 mana spell, destroy a minion with Taunt. Design 3 stars, balance 5 stars. Now the problem with this card is not every deck plays Taunts. A lot of decks play Taunts, but not a lot, not enough that this card is a little bit too niche to just print. It's also worth talking about the rarity of the card. It should be an epic if it were to ever get printed, because it is so specific and it might be useless against a lot of decks that's the place where you want the epic cards. Might be interesting if you print this in the same set as a sparring partner type of card, where you could give an opponent Taunt and then use Guys Stop to combo with it. And so we close the chapter on the 2-day period of time where creativity went wild and there was a grand set of cards that were designed around I Know a Guy. So thank you for joining me on this very special edition of Custom Hearthstone cards. And you guys at the Custom Hearthstone Reddit, you guys are wild people who know how to have a good time.